We need to upscale our system. But please, please, please note it. If you read section 15, section 16 of the Nigerian Constitution as amended, talking about the economic policies and things of the government, it should be to make life meaningful for the citizens.
All right, let's look at the politics of this whole situation. When the CBN was coming up with the, Naira redesign policy, cash withdrawal policy, it was one of the reasons they gave was that they wanted to curb vote buying, they wanted to reduce inflation, they wanted to ensure that, the money in circulation wasn't too much for the banks to, control. But looking at all of these issues, vote buying, one of the major issues towards elections, and you have also insinuated here that it is vindictive, it is political, directed maybe towards a political candidate. But if you look at these politicians, many of them have these bankers. In fact, they have banks in their pockets. So you cannot say, can you confidently say that this policy would stop them from getting the new Naira note, or from buying the votes that they need to buy, or from getting their way when it comes to these elections?
You see, that question may have been difficult for me to answer, but for this precedent, we saw a video of bandits brandishing the new notes and claiming to have it in abundance. So why will a politician of substance be held down if that politician is interested in vote buying? You either buy votes with cash or in kind. So for those who will buy votes, and you ask a very brilliant question, who owns the banks? Who owns the banks? The big ones. Who are the major players in politics? The big ones. In fact, some people don't even know. They drive on the road, they don't see bank branches. They don't go to banks. Banks go to them. This is what I was talking about. And you now create room for different kinds of insinuations. Some are even saying that the printing of the Naira was some fault for some people to carry the money before this regime leaves office. A lot of things. And again, let's focus on a critical issue. In fact, what the Supreme Court gave directive on is even making the old notes legal tender. What about making the notes available, whether it's new or old? That is the main issue now. You go to banks, you have videos, you have pictures. I was in one of the frontline banks early in the morning, and I was so amused. A woman fighting two men terribly out of frustration. Holding their shirts and things
Several
like
people
that.
are stripped naked in banks.
Exactly. You see people going to queue at the ATM, different kinds of crises in the land, So it's if not for, we thank God for goodwill, because I say there's a bank called Goodwill Trust Bank, which is the goodwill you have acquired. If not for goodwill, that you can go into a supermarket and pick some items and you smile and wave your hands.
Because I was going to ask you, you talked about the fact that you've not had to buy the Naira note, and I was going to see you after the show to understand how you've been going about your businesses and getting things done, because, a lot of us have had to buy the Naira.
The wise elders say you dig a well before you are tested. I have friends. So
that's why I need to see you
some
after
stores
the
and
show.
Hey, barrister, how are you? And we greet. And so give me this. How much?
But what
is
about
it?
the pepper seller?
20,000. I have friends across board. Garuba is my customer in the Podo market in Ikeja. So when my wife gets there, or if it's me that gets there, as much as we want. So it's good to be friendly.
Oh, I need to.
So at times like this, I got a problem, man.
And I guess that's the disposition or the body language of many of these people at the helm of affairs. They are not really perturbed because they're not really bothered, or they're not really affected.
If you listen to the statements, the governors forum, and they said that they are aware of the plight of the citizens. There are categories of citizens. And that is one thing we need to address in the nation. Because, and I said it at a time, we may come to the point where citizens begin to see their leaders as enemies. And it's beginning to happen. If you look at the attacks in the southeastern part of the country and some parts of the country, attacks at, aides of former governor, this one and that. So let us sanitize the nation. Nigeria has at least 40 mineral resources. Nigeria has the largest deposit of proven gas in Africa. Nigeria is rich in population, in potentials. Then why can we not just reconcile our differences and enjoy the good of the land? It's really a big, we have enough to take care of Africa. May I suggest to our leaders this morning that they may want to go and study how Gaddafi managed Libya before an intervention came to take him out. So it's all about the people, governance. And I repeat myself that if democracy is now directed in the direction of performance, you even have less to spend during the elections.
Well, there's an update here. We know that the Supreme Court is supposed to sit today, and right now the Supreme Court is filled to capacity with a retinue of senior advocates of Nigeria, other lawyers, and governors of Kaduna, Kogi, and Zamfara State for the hearing of the substantive suit on the Naira swap policy of the Central Bank of Nigeria. Of course, the proceeding will start again today. Where do you see all of this going? And what should Nigerians do? Because right now, there have been reports that so many people aren't even accepting the old Naira note. What exactly should be the disposition of Nigerians?
In the neighboring society communities, they're already trading with foreign currencies, CFAs and things like that. And I understand some have started trade by barter.
Even here in Nigeria.
But let me say this, people will survive. That is one tough thing. But like I said earlier, it's just unfortunate that the tenure of President Muhammadu Buhari may have so many documented accounts of hardship. And it's quite disturbing. It's quite, when all this is done, even when you go for a movie, you come to the end of the movie and you go home with the memories you have acquired. History is quietly writing. So my advice to people is that please, if you went through the COVID-19 lockdown, please calm down. We are passing through this lockdown. And again, for me, it has been a wonderful experience.
Well, you can say that.
I like to spend, but this has limited my spending. In fact, before, after closing from work, I love to go to shopping,
But you said you can still go shopping.
But I've trimmed down the shopping. You go for the necessities.
but some people have suggested that if we as Nigerians continue to spend the old Naira notes and ignore whatever the CBN is saying, that perhaps we would be able to survive. But the old Naira notes aren't even available.
That is what we are saying. At the time a report came that the print and mint did not have the materials to print the notes, CBN denied it. Just like we denied, they will say international passport booklets are not available. There are several issues with Nigeria. You talk about getting your NIN, problem. Your PVC, problem. So it's a systemic thing. This thing should not be difficult. If you are mopping up 2.7 trillion old notes from the society, at least you should have about 3 trillion of the new notes ready.
But won't that defeat the purpose? Because the purpose is to reduce the Naira in the circulation.
They have reduced what you can with. Let me explain this. We are moving towards cashless policy. Now, if I want to transfer 1 million Naira from my account, I can do it. I go into the bank. There is no problem about that. We are talking about the cash you can touch now. So what some of us have done is to look at the people we do business with. Okay, Mr. Hassan, I'm going to do a business of 1.2 million with you this week. I go to my bank on Friday. I transfer 1 million to that account. How he engages it to render service to me is not my business. That is cashless economy. But do we have the infrastructural backup? Some banks will even tell you their network is not working. You try to transfer different kinds.
In fact, the news in the air is that they deliberately switched off their network.
And that is where the vindictiveness
I really don't
may be justified. And
but some people have also said it's because these apps, this whatever, the features are not built to accommodate the gravity or the enormity of the transactions that are now taking place.
It's part of project management. I said it earlier. You evaluate if you are going to Canada now and you do not go and check the weather condition in Canada and you wear a spaghetti and jump into the aircraft, by the time you come out of the airport there, you are likely to end up in an emergency center. So what do? Oh, Canada, what kind of currency do I need? This and this and that. What kind of clothing do I need? You know, you book your hotel now. It's the same thing. A project that fails ab initio from conception because you are expected. That's why before you start building a house, the architects will draw it. You need the mechanical engineers, you know, the civil engineers, all of them, everything you need so that you have a concept to run with. You don't just wake up and say, okay, I want to build this house in 2 weeks. And that's why people are saying this is close to the elections. The cashless economy is fantastic. It's awesome. It's practiced across the world. And again, do we have the supportive monetary policy? I was in Canada on vacation with my wife, and we needed to even change the American dollar to Canadian dollar. Then we ask you for your passport and everything. You don't just walk out of the hotel and see people shouting, selling dollars to you. No! We need to fine-tune the operations in this country. Right now, selling Naira is even maybe more profitable than selling dollars. Because somebody was to go and get 50,000 Naira from POS operators. He paid 6,000 Naira. What percentage is that?
More than 10.
On your currency. And CBN will say they will go to jail. How many are going to jail? Except for the actress that is now in Kirikiri, being held in custody for abusing the Naira. And for how long have people been abusing the Naira? So when we make laws that we do not implement, what picture are we painting of the nation? A serious nation? So these are issues. So this is another good policy but poorly implemented when you look at the impact analysis. Let's
look at the Supreme Court sitting today. We know that states like Ekiti have said they're going to join the suit. Where do you see all of this resulting to?
The senior advocates are there, and we had a 7-man panel that gave that directive. And I don't want to preempt them, and as a lawyer, I just want to patiently wait. But I expect that whatever decision will be given should be targeted at the interest of the people and the defense of the rule of law. But basically, I think the issue of jurisdiction is critical in the preliminary objection. And of course, it is established that when you talk about CBN, the Supreme Court does not have the primary jurisdiction, you see, on litigations. But then, if you talk about federation and states and federation, Supreme Court has jurisdiction, but also on disputes. And we are talking about monetary issues. Okay. So it's quite complex. But let's wait and hear
what they have to say. But we have to wrap up now. Do you see any consequences following the actions of the CBN?
People are adjusting. That is one thing about people are elastic in nature.
In line with the Supreme Court order.
It depends on the order Supreme Court gives. Most likely the order may be at the federation. But again, the president has immunity, and then the president may only be impeached. And you know the
So you're saying the ruling that was given last week that was flouted by the CBN governor, that is being flouted by the CBN governor right now, it has no consequences?
Those defending CBN will claim that CBN is not a party to the suit. And CBN cannot be a party because the proper place to go, it should be the Federal High Court.
All right.
By virtue of the Constitution. And I earlier quoted the section. So, and they will now tell Supreme Court or the states that do the right thing, go to the Federal High Court. If you want to sue CBN, you have not sued CBN. Wow. Or who will now force President Muhammadu Buhari to tell Emefiele to do. So it's a complex issue. It's a test of influence between the arms of government, because Section 4 of the Nigerian Constitution 1999 as amended says that National Assembly shall make laws for the peace, order, and good governance of the nation. Laws have been made. The courts interpret the laws. We are talking of procedures here now. We are talking of adherence and obedience to the pronouncements of the court. But the question on the lighter mood is that, can the husband of another wife direct the wife of another man that you must go and cook for me?
Well, we'll leave it on that hilarious note. But thank you so much for the brilliant analysis you've given us this morning, helping us to better understand the situation. Barrister Jide Ologun, legal practitioner.
Thank you. God bless Nigeria.
God bless you too. Have a great day. All right, we have to wrap it up now with a quote of the day, and that is by Maya Angelou. And she says, success is liking yourself, liking what you do, and liking how you do it. Josh?
Yeah, of course. You've got to like yourself. The onus is on you to like yourself. If you leave the likeness of yourself to someone else, you might end up a sadist.
Okay. I'll just leave that to you to interpret. My name is Mobolan Adeshi. Thank you so much for being a part of iBrand Daybreak today. I'll see you next time. Have a great day.
My name once again is Joshua Okata. We'll see you tomorrow, God willing. Bye for now.